Hello, and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're going to do something a little bit different, departing from our normal routine, and we're going to talk about public safety here in the city of Long Beach, and we're going to go through the 911 Communication Center. So if you'll come with me, we'll just take a tour of the center and see how we're protected. Okay, and joining me now is Charles Cobley. He is going to give us a tour here of the center. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is a fairly new facility?
Yes, this opened in late October of 2003. Excuse me, 2004.
Now, I have to tell you, I'm really impressed with the center, because when I went through the Citizens Police Academy, we toured your old facility in the basement of City Hall. It was dark, there were no windows, and when it rained, it leaked. And this is such a marked improvement.
Yeah, this has helped everyone that works here, not only getting out of the basement and being able to be out in the daytime, but this has improved the citizens of Long Beach ability to reach police services.
Now, is this young lady taking incoming calls?
Yes, Judy is at a telephone position where she is ready. You can see on her screen the button says ready. She's ready to receive incoming calls as people call the police department, whether it's 911 or 7-digit. Those calls automatically come into Judy when she tells the computer she's ready, and it does it in a pattern so that everyone shares the workload equally.
And we want to make sure we do not film any of the addresses there in the middle screen when they pop up.
Right, just in case one comes in not up close.
Okay. Now, how many stations do you have?
We have 21 telephone stations and 10 radio positions.
Okay. And how many are manned each day?
It depends on the time of day. We have a minimum staffing level. Our busiest time is in the afternoon, so they have more people. 14 people at a time is the minimum staffing in afternoons. Right now, where it's not quite as busy on the day shift, we have a minimum of 10 right now.
Okay. Now, am I correct in assuming that any public telephone you can dial 911 without cost?
That's absolutely correct. Any payphone, you can pick it up, dial 911, those calls will ring right here.
Okay. And when a call comes in, the phone number of the calling party pops up?
Phone number and address of the location comes right to our screen, so we can assist them if they can't talk or if they're having a medical problem, we can get them help.
Okay. You're open 24/7. How long is a shift here?
We work a 10-hour shift, 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. So they do have 3 days off a week.
This is just remarkable how large and airy and bright it is up here.
It's wonderful. We can adjust the lighting in here at any time of the day or night so that it's comfortable for the folks working in here. And as Judy processes telephone calls, they leave her terminal and go to a radio dispatcher for dispatch out to a police unit.
You know, so many times I've gone to neighborhood association meetings, neighborhood watch meetings, and they always tell us, regardless of what the problem is, dial 911 and not the non-emergency number. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is. In Long Beach, Judy can take 7-digit, the 435-6711 call, or a 911 call. It comes into the same telephone console. So it doesn't matter to us whether they call 911 or our 7-digit number, because they come to the same operator, so we can provide them the same service.
Now, this is the police department section.
That's correct.
And there's a separate section for the fire department.
Right next door is the fire department.
Okay. So if I call 911, how are they going to distinguish whether it should go to the police department or the fire department?
If you call 911 anywhere in the city of Long Beach, those calls come directly to this center, to the police side. Once we determine you have a medical emergency, or if you tell me you're having a heart attack or whatever the problem is, we hit one button on our telephone console that transfers right over to a fire dispatcher.
Can we film her and listen to her giving...
Absolutely.
Is that possible?
Judy is taking a call right now.
All right. Hold on. Let me go ahead and I'm going to send the toad a message. Hold on.
Now, this is how Judy communicates with other people in the room. She's sending a message from her terminal to another position here in the room that has previously ordered a tow truck so that she can get information and help our tow operators locate where they need to go.
What kind of training is required for someone to
We-
be in this position?
When a new person starts with us, we have a 5-week classroom academy where we teach them the basics, which includes call codes, geography of the city, information they're going to need to handle incoming telephone calls, how they handle emergencies. Then after the classroom training, they come into our center, and for 10 weeks they plug into a console with an experienced operator and begin experiencing every type of call. At the end of 10 weeks, generally, people are what we call phone solo, or ready to go on their own as far as phone work is concerned. We then move them to the radio operation, where they spend the remainder of their 12-month probationary period learning to take radio calls, dispatch the calls that the phone call people take, and to receive information over the radio from officers in the field.
Now, are they on rotating shifts because you're open 24 hours a day?
New people, when they come in, we switch them among the shifts during their first year, because every shift handles a little different type of calls. Day shift is more routine kind of calls. Afternoons and graveyards is when most of the murders and that kind of thing happen. So they do rotate among these shifts during their first year, but after that, once a year we sign up for shifts based on seniority.
Okay.
Okay, what is your name?
And these calls just keep coming and coming and coming.
We average about between 1,500 and 2,000 calls a day. Last year we took just under 700,000 calls here in the center.
Now, this is the communication center for the city of Long Beach. So in a case of a citywide emergency, an earthquake or some major catastrophe, this would become the communication center for the city?
Well, downstairs in this building is what's called the Emergency Operating Center, and that's where they have a center for all city department heads, the police chief, the city manager, those folks who would come to this building and begin city operations in any kind of a disaster, where they would manage an earthquake or a riot or whatever the situation is. We would, of course, assist them any way we could, but we would continue to do our business here like we regularly do, plus anything else they needed us to do.
You know, the thought crossed my mind that if you can dial 911 from any public phone free,
Do you know what the license plate number
do you
is?
get many crank
Okay.
or
All right, we'll get somebody else.
phone calls that are not legit?
We average about 100 calls a day from pay telephones that are kids either on their way to school or on their way home, that they just pass a telephone, pick it up and dial 911, leave it hanging and go on their way. So we do have a lot of those calls.
And that takes officers off the street that might be responding to another emergency situation.
Yes, if we can tell if it's a prank, like kids laughing or just make comments to us, we will not respond. But anytime we think there's any chance of an emergency, we will respond to a police officer out there.
Now, if you get a call and then they hang up, do you call back or do you do a verification or?
Absolutely. If someone calls from a residence, for example, the information that comes on our screen on a 911 call indicates whether it's from a residence, a business, or a payphone. If it's from a residence, we'll call back, try and make contact with a party there. If we're not successful, we send an officer, lights and siren, out to that house to find out what the problem is. On payphones, if we call back and there's not an answer and it's during daytime hours, we will not respond to those calls. But businesses and residences, we always respond if we call back and cannot get an answer.
Now, you're wearing a uniform that looks like a police officer's uniform, but you're not an actual police.
No, sir, I'm a civilian employee for the department.
You just look official.
Well, we think that it helps the esprit de corps among the employees here, helps us all to look good and do our jobs well.
It's very quiet up here for having so many terminals, too.
The nice thing here is there's no ringing telephones in here because the calls automatically come into an an operator's headset. There's no ringing sound, so it is nice. It's quiet in here, and you can do your job without a lot of background noise.
Now, if I'd call 911 on my cell phone, does it take longer to get through than it does from a stationary phone?
Yes, it does. Currently, if you call 911 from your cell phone, your call is going to go to the California Highway Patrol, who then must figure out what jurisdiction you're in and transfer your call to that local agency. We hope sometime in the next few months or by the end of this year that we may begin receiving those calls directly. That is in process in the state of California.
So there are some drawbacks to cell phones.
Absolutely. We encourage
Besides
people...
talking in the grocery store.
or the movies. We encourage people to program our 7-digit number into their cell phone so that if they have to call, they can call us directly.
Could we run down and take a look at the equipment room, and then I want to go downstairs and see how the building is built, because I understand that not a square inch of this building is sitting on land.
That's correct, and we'll go down there right now.
That's remarkable. All right, let's go. Okay, and joining me now is Liz Battle. This is the Fire Communication Center?
Yes, it is.
You know, I have to tell you how impressed I am with this, because when I went through the academy, Citizens Police Academy, we went through your center up on Peterson.
Right.
And I remember that it should have been a disaster zone. And they said that the equipment was so old that there were no replacement parts. They had to make them themselves.
That is very true.
What a change.
It's a great change. We're very, very pleased with this new facility.
Now, how many stations do you have here?
We have 11 stations.
And how many are manned most of the time?
5.
5. And you handle all the medical emergencies?
That's correct. We handle fires, medicals, hazardous materials.
This is just an impressive building.
Yes.
And you have your own kitchen area over there?
We do. Our dispatchers, because they're always working, we don't actually leave the center so they can make a quick snack and use whatever resources are necessary and then come back and go straight back to work. So if the phone rings and we get very busy, someone can run right back in and grab a headset.
Ever get distracted by watching the airplanes land?
Frequently. We actually love the new view. Mm-hmm.
Well, I must say I am impressed, Liz, with your facility, and it's about time Long Beach had a state-of-the-art communication center.
We think so. We think that the citizens deserve it. It serves a great purpose, and we're
And you
really
guys do a
pleased.
fantastic job.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, now this is the equipment room.
Right. This is where all the equipment that operates the entire center is located.
Nice. Now, what are the banks of computers here on the table for?
These are various computers that control the systems in the center, server computers that technicians can go.
Here we go. Oh, wow, look at the cables, the wires.
It was amazing watching them build this building, how they came in here and kept track of all the wiring, where it went. And it's amazing how they did it in the racks.
I can't even imagine how many miles of wire there are coming out of here.
It's just amazing watching the technicians that came in here and built this building. All of the telephone lines come in and plug in on the wall.
One would certainly need a mechanical degree to put this together.
Yeah, there were how many vendors here? 4 or 5 different vendors that came in and operated on this.
23 different systems, so multiple vendors were here at any given time working in every area.
We're adding Diane to our group right here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, can we go down below and look at how the building was built and
Certainly.
what it's setting on? Because I think that's fantastic.
Okay,
Let's go. Now we're going down into the bowels of the center. Now explain to me how the building was built.
The building sits completely on base isolation. There are 24 base isolators that hold up the building. And
Are these the round things here?
Yes, they act pretty much like shock absorbers. They're a combination of rubber and steel, and they're designed to shift 30 inches in any direction in the event of an earthquake. No part of this building actually sits on the ground. The entire building is supported by these base isolators. So when you look at things like the stairwell and you see that the stairs don't even touch the floor, All the way around the building on the outside is some skirting that covers the opening so that when the ground shifts or the building shifts, nothing hits the side of the earth, nothing goes out far enough to hit the ground on any side of the building.
I can't believe how clean it is down here if we're not sitting on the ground.
Well, there isn't anywhere where natural elements can really get in here because of the skirting that's around there. When it rains, this doesn't get any water, or we've not had any kind of a rodent problem or any of those kinds of things. It is very clean down here.
Has there been an earthquake here in Long Beach since you moved in here?
There have actually been several.
And have you noticed the movement in the building?
Very little. Very little. I have a plant hanging in my office. I noticed the plant swinging was how I became aware. And another time I happened to be on the telephone with someone who was at City Hall who said, "Oh my gosh, we're having an earthquake." And I did not feel it at all.
Well, this is really a remarkable building. I'm very impressed with all the thought that went into the design of this building and how much nicer it is than your old facility.
It is amazing, isn't it? This building actually also houses the Emergency Operations Center for the City of Long Beach. And in the event of a huge disaster, city managers, city management staff, department heads, and their representatives would come here and work as a team to put the city back together and keep things functioning while the city was being repaired, so to speak.
Now, if there were a major catastrophe and this became the command central and they had to stay here for a period of time, are there facilities for them to stay overnight?
There are. I don't believe that it's fully equipped yet, but there is a room on the first floor where cots can be brought in. There's a full kitchen on the first floor. There's a washer and dryer for doing laundry and maintaining people's creature comforts during that period of time. There are hookups outside, both for the press and for the Red Cross to come, and they would come and provide us with food and anything else we needed.
So you're in good shape here.
I think so. I think so.
Well, I want to thank you, Diane, because I think this is most impressive. And Charles, you too, because I've been wanting to come down here and see it because I remember what the old places looked like, and this is remarkable.
Underground for 25 years. This is a huge improvement. The employees are very grateful.
Must be a joy now to come to work.
It is. It really is. This is an awesome facility. We're very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And don't go away. We'll be right back with more Long Beach Treasures.
Buonos, authentic pizzeria. Ah, the food, abbondanza, buonissimo. The #1 rated pizza in Long Beach. Mamma mia, our sauces are so good, they are gonna bring a tear to your eye. Try our magnifico lunch buffet. We are right across from the City Hall on Ocean Boulevard. The same great food at our other location on Willow Street. Buonos, buon appetito.
And welcome back to Long Beach Treasures. And joining me now is Sergeant Jeff Garcia. I guess you're the helicopter pilot.
How you doing, Harvey?
Good.
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Now tell me about your job.
Well, job basically right now I'm the supervisor for the air support unit, and I have to coordinate the training and make sure that our pilots are flying above our air, securing our city, and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, and occasionally I get to fly. Usually fly about 2-3 days a week. So I get a good opportunity to fly around the city and see what kind of problems we can seek out.
Now you're not in the air 24/7, right?
No, sir. We're basically in the air 7 days a week, and we fly basically from 8:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the morning. So basically there's about a 4-hour gap there that we don't fly. But other than that, we're there 7 days a week.
Now, are you in the air constantly during that period of time, or? off and on?
No, off and on. We during each shift, there's a shift of 10 hours, and out of that 10 hours, we fly 5 of those hours. So in other words, we're actually in the air 5 hours out of the 10-hour shift, and that's pretty much call driven. If there's calls going for service, we hop right back in the air, but we usually fly up about an hour and a half, and due to pilot fatigue, we come down, take a rest, go back up a half hour later. But sometimes as soon as we get down, we get a call, we go right back up.
Now I see this holds 7 passengers. How many are normally on a crew as you're flying?
Usually just 2. We have the pilot and the flight tactical officer, who the pilot on the ship pretty much just flies the aircraft, communicates with the tower, the airport tower, and the flight tactical officer is responsible for all of the communications with the ground units, with the watch commander. He also has to operate the spotlight, the forward-looking infrared system we have, which is known as FLIR, where we can spot people in the dark, and basically all the communication with the PA and coordinating with the ground units. So it's quite a big job there.
Is he a qualified pilot also?
Yes. Everybody in the units are pilots. The people that aren't pilots come in the unit get trained when they get in the unit. So within about a year's time, when they come to our unit, they're training in the flight tactical officer mode, and then they slowly start heading into the pilot training.
Do you fly fixed wing also?
No, sir, we don't.
Oh, I was just curious which would be easiest to fly.
No, we don't. We don't have any fixed wing aircraft.
Now, I understand what looks like a computer over there. You can punch in an address and it brings up.
Basically what the flight tactical officer does when he's trying to find an address that we can't find. Usually, you'd be surprised, after flying up in here as much as we do, we know the street's pretty good. Now, we might not know the exact number of the address, but we're pretty good at getting the right number, believe it or not, because we're just so used to some of the houses that we get calls from are a constant call. We get calls there every month or every week, so we kind of know the houses.
At what altitude do you fly?
We fly at between 500 and 1,000 feet, depending on our mission. Standard day shift, we're usually flying at 700 feet. We come down to 500 feet when we get a call so we can see better. At nighttime, we try to get up close to 1,000 feet just because of the noise.
So you have good visibility at 500 feet?
Absolutely. We can pretty much see everything we need to see at that altitude. And with the sophisticated binoculars we have now, we can pretty much see everything, read license plates, facial features, and everything. And this area here, this is the actual computer screen that controls all 3 of our systems. Our mapping system, which is the system you talked about. Basically, we don't know where we're going and we don't know where our address is. We just punch it right in the keyboard, just like you would do at home, and punch in the address, and almost immediately the address comes up. It gives us a GPS coordinate, tells us which way to go, tells us how many seconds, how many minutes it'll take us to get there with our current altitude and speed. And it's invaluable to us, because the addresses that we don't go to or we don't get to see that much, we couldn't do it without this mapping system. So the screen does the mapping system. We can also flip it to the video, which we can take actual live video on the ground of, let's say, a police pursuit. And we are required to film all police pursuits from the aircraft. And we give that to the watch commander when we're done with the pursuit, so they can look at it, see if there's anything that they need to, improve on, or any kind of department violation that might have occurred down on the surface.
What's your normal airspeed?
Normal airspeed is about 60 knots.
So how long would it take you to get from, say, the peninsula to North Long Beach?
We can get from one end of the city to the other, just like you said, in about just under 3 minutes.
Wow, that's moving.
So that's moving. Our top speed is around 154 knots.
And this helicopter is a little different than some of them because the tail rotor is a lot different?
We have what's called a Fenstron tail rotor, and basically it's a rotorless system. It's a rotor within a rotor, and the reason why we got this helicopter is because it was the quietest helicopter made, bar none in the entire world. Not only did it meet our performance standards, but it was a very quiet helicopter.
And I understand this helicopter, when purchased, did not cost the city anything?
No, we purchased these helicopters through asset forfeiture funds. Basically meaning that the drug dealers that we gain the assets from, they're the ones that basically supply and finance our helicopter, which is kind of nice. So no city funds were used for this helicopter.
And how many do you have?
We have 2 of them.
Okay. It's a beautiful looking aircraft.
Oh yeah.
So you're in charge, and you protect us night and day.
We try to do our best. One of the biggest, what I'd like to get out to, is one of our biggest complaints is the noise. And I just want to let everybody know that when we're finished with a call, we try to get out of that area as quickly as we can. And we're never really hovering in front of or on top of a house unless we need to, unless there's a tactical reason to be there. So just let them, let the public know. We'd like them to know that when we're out there, we're actually doing a police function. And when we're done with that function, we get out of there as quickly as we can.
Well, many times I hear you going over my house. I don't care what time of day or night it is. You're welcome to go over my house because I know I'm being protected.
Yes, you are. And we're also vital to the port. We can patrol the port in a matter of minutes, where it takes the boat or ground units hours to do. So we do a lot of Homeland Defense stuff with the helicopter also.
We just got a couple minutes, and I want to go in and look at some of your new SWAT equipment. It looks like something out of a Schwarzenegger film.
Yes, it is, and we'll go in there and talk to Lieutenant Wayne Collins about that.
All right.
I'll brief you on it.
Now, Sergeant, tell me about these vehicles.
Well, unfortunately, none of the SWAT members are here right now, so I can just basically tell you the basics of the vehicles. We secured these vehicles through Homeland Defense grants, who totally paid for these new armored vehicles. And basically, the vehicles are designed to be able to get the SWAT officers into a location where they can be covered from hostile fire. They can also rescue police officers down, citizens down with this, if they're taking hostile fire from, let's say, a sniper or a Hollywood bank robbery event type thing. And these vehicles are totally armored all the way around. Engine compartments are armored. The tires are tubeless. They can't be shot out. So they're they're structured very well.
I hate to use the term, but these are awesome-looking pieces of equipment.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're very sophisticated. They're state-of-the-art for our SWAT team, and they're going to be able to better secure the city during a time of unfortunate event. Say we have one. So
what's the difference between the two?
Basically, one is just a bigger vehicle. It fits more people in it, and the smaller one is designed more of a rescue to get through some of the alleys in Long Beach. The bigger one can't even fit through because it's so big. But the basic difference is size, mass, and I believe they still have the same armor plating. Each of them has. Just one has, you can fit more people in.
And with the armor plating, I assume that means a bullet couldn't penetrate it?
No, I believe they're capable of everything up to a 50 caliber, I believe. Everything up to 50 caliber they can take.
Have you used these at all yet?
Our SWAT team uses them all the time on every SWAT call-out. They roll to every SWAT call-out we have because the facts are undetermined until they get out there. So they never know what kind of equipment they'll need. So every time a SWAT team gets called out, these vehicles get called out also.
I want to thank you for telling me about your helicopter, about your SWAT tactical vehicles, and thanks for protecting us.
Nice to see you, Harvey.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
And that's it for Long Beach Treasures. Be sure and join us again next time as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures.